What's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So I thought I would do another book review since I finished reading a book by Cal Newport called Deep Work. This is a book that I was looking forward to reading for a while, and actually when I say read, I pretty much combine read and listen to as the same thing. So even though there is a difference, I should probably do a video talking about the difference between listening to a book like on Audible versus reading a book, because there is sometimes a difference, and there's certain books that I think are better lend themselves towards to reading, and other ones that better lend themselves towards listening. But anyway, I read this book or listened to this book on audio while I was doing my runs from Cal Newport called Deep Work. And if you're not familiar with Cal Newport, well, first of all, let's bring up a link to Deep Work here. You can check out the book here. Like I said, I got the audio version on Audible, but I'm sure that the print version is just as good, or a Kindle version. Anyway, if you're not familiar with Cal Newport, pretty cool guy. He basically became like a computer science professor at was it Georgetown? I can't remember the exact university now, but I read his previous book called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And this is a really, really good book. It really talks about the idea of not following your passion, right? About, finding out what you're good at. And he's really someone who I've admired, because he has a very similar work ethic and ideas in life as I do. And so I was really excited to look at Deep Work, especially considering right now that I'm writing my second major book. I'm writing a book right now. I've talked about this a little bit. I'll talk more about it in the future. The tentative title is The Complete Software Developer's Career Guide. But anyway, let's get into the review. So Deep Work, what is Deep Work? So Deep Work is basically, one thing that I really liked about this book is that it really talks about this idea of going deep and focused on things. Really, a lot of the stuff that I talk about, if you've seen how I plan my week, check out the video here. I talk about, using Pomodoro technique and really like doing focus stuff. And it so happens that as I'm writing my new book, I'm doing deep work. I'm spending an hour a day focused in deep work on writing that book every single day. And so he really goes into, this book is essentially about this. It's about the idea that today, in our world today, we tend to not value deep work, or we tend to not have as much deep work. We have so many distractions. We have social media and emails and multitasking and all of this stuff. And he's saying that there's a huge value in deep work, which deep work is basically where you're just focused on one thing and you're concentrating on this one thing, and you're going deep with it. It might be like really deeply researching something, or writing a book, or as a computer programmer, maybe writing a computer program instead of doing the sort of softer stuff like checking email and all that kind of distracting stuff. So he's talking about that the huge value comes from this deep work. That's where you create things. For me, my deep work is like creating these YouTube videos. It is writing when I write my book. It is writing blog posts. It is pretty much anything that's producing content. And when I was doing my Pluralsight courses, I did, if you could check out my Pluralsight courses here, but I did like 55 Pluralsight courses in like a few years. I did like over 30 in 1 year. And it was deep work, I was really focused on that work. So anyway, he talks about this idea, and he basically says that today in society, that deep work is more rare. But in this sort of creating this arbitrage situation is basically what he's saying in the book, is that because it's so rare and it's so valuable, like if you are able to do deep work, if you can get yourself to do this when most people aren't, and the value on it that most people place on it is lesser, then you're going to have this advantage, right? And he talks about like a lot of examples where in history and in modern times where people who are focused and do deep work have huge benefits from it, and how it can benefit you. So a big portion of the book, first of all, is just convincing you that deep work is valuable, that it's rare, that it's meaningful, and what deep work is, right? So that to convince you that this is important. And I totally agree with Cal on this. Like, this is something that he's kind of preaching to the choir, because like I said, so much of my success, when I look at at like where like my success comes from, it's from being prolific, which is really out of deep work. He talks about how, how he wrote his books, how he was able to write academic papers and publish a lot more by focusing on deep work. And it's so true. Like, so much of success that at least personally in my life, I found came from doing deep work and finally figuring out how to do this. And so I think it's really important. So anyway, the first part of the book is about that. Then the second part is about what he calls the rules, and he talks about how to work deeply, right? What that means, how to actually do it. And he gives some pretty good guidelines, some pretty good advice on how to do this. If you've never done this before, I mean, this echoes, like I feel like I could have written this book because it very much echoes a lot of what I say. And what, not necessarily what I say, but what I've been doing. Like I discovered a lot of this stuff on my own. I feel like if I had read this book, if this book had come out, when I first started my career, it would have helped me because I wouldn't have had to figure this stuff out. But it really echoes a lot of what I'm already doing, which is awesome as a reinforcement. But it's awesome for you who might not be doing that to have something. I haven't really put into words everything that I'm doing, but that I've discovered. But he's done a lot of that there. He talks also about the idea of embracing boredom. That's another section or chapter in his book, and that's so important. Some deep work is like, it gets so boring after time, but that's how you get to where you're going to get. He's got another section on quitting social media, which I didn't find so valuable. I mean, I totally agree, about wasting your time and stuff, but he had like rules for determining when you should quit social media and stuff. I felt like that was a little bit more filler type of stuff, not quite as valuable. I don't want to detract from the book by saying, negative things, but it just wasn't as valuable. And then he's got, he kind of wraps it up, and the book ends sort of on this weird note. Like I expected more. Like the conclusion just comes, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. We just started digging into this. I feel like there could be a little bit more there, but that's not to detract from the book. The book is awesome. I definitely recommend the book, and it's going to be highly valuable for you if you have trouble with this deep work and you're finding yourself doing shallow work. Because, like I said, I mean, I can't stress enough how important being able to do deep work is, and how much that it's going to benefit you in your life. Because I mean, it has really made a significant impact, at least for me, in my life. So anyway, I recommend the book. You can get it here. Definitely check it out. I also recommend his other book, Good to Great. You can check that one out here. And yeah, I got to figure out what I'm going to read next here. But hopefully you enjoy Cal Newport's work. He's got a really good mindset for getting stuff done that I think is really important. So I really, I was excited when I saw this book, and I feel like it's a good 5-star book here. So anyway, if you like these reviews, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.